morning and welcome to the February Property Pulse webinar hosted by myself, Elise Leroux. I know everybody is super busy, so thank you very much for taking the time to attend to this morning's session. In the chat, please go drop your name, tell us where you're from. We would love to hear where you're from. I'm going to go on and just mute everyone. Luckily, I don't mute myself. That's always fun stuff. So please make sure you're muted. Have your pen and paper together today. I think we're talking about a very important topic. And we're always there to learn stuff. So, Baba Lele, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Welcome. It's nice to see you. It's a new agency. I love to see the new agencies coming up. We love sharing information and sharing with you. Then we have our regulars, Monique and Henriette. Welcome this morning. It's great to see you guys on online. Tracy, oh, great. And all these people coming up, Leandra, all of them. It's great to see how everybody's all over the country. Oh, Pia, and of course, please remember at the bottom you have a react button. Please don't be shy to use it. We see sometimes that helps to interact. Johan, myself, and Lausanne, and the team that's on here, we usually laugh and say, we're not really made to be radio personalities. We want to see people who want to interact. So that doesn't actually take off our attention in any way. I see Garan actually is online now, and I'm quickly just going to put them on the spot. Thank you for mentioning Xpello on your Facebook and social media. We actually replied to it, and thank you for showing your trust to your clients. We really appreciated that. Everyone, I see everybody popping up there. It's nice to see everyone. Umhlanga, Midstream, Middelburg, Mpumalanga. Listen, South Africa is represented and we love it. So thank you very much for taking the time today. I think we're talking about a topic today that it really goes hand in hand with January because it's breaches, and that's always a headache of note. And of course, one of the biggest things that we need to discuss is how to deal with it and what's happening. And I think that's why I am so excited to have my guest up this morning. So my guest for this morning is Johan Jansen van Rensburg. If you don't know him yet, unfortunately, in the future, somewhere you are going to deal with him and his team. He's the team leader of our legal department, and he's been with Xpello from 2019. And he has indirectly or directly dealt with or prevented almost 4.5 evictions. Now, I mean, that needs a applause, because I mean, when I looked at that stats, I was thinking, wow, I'm just glad that he's part of our team. And that's absolutely amazing. And of course, he's finished his BCom law degree, and he's busy with his LLB, and he deals with so much attorneys. I'm quite confident if he was about to go to court today, he will be able to argue an eviction. Johan, that's just me bragging about you. Thank you for taking time out of your very busy day to be here on the webinar.
No, thank you. Thank you, Elise, for the kind introduction, firstly, and good morning to everyone. If you've spoken to myself or someone in Xpello's legal department, I think you understand we love annoying your tenants. So, yeah, of course, in the most professional and compliant way, I almost wanted to say we love harassing your tenants, but of course, in a professional way.
Johan, I usually laugh and say we build relationships. You know, that cable guy, if you ever watch that movie where the guy wants to be your friend, although the other guy doesn't want to be friends. That's sort of the relationship we build. That's how I think that's why we are so fantastic in our job. Tell us, how has January been? How did you and the team experience January with regards to breaches?
Elise, I think people
Johan, that's not absolutely Murphy's Law. Now the internet it was giving him problems. I forgot to tell him to plug in the cable. So let's give him a couple of minutes just to get back there. Lizanne, maybe if you can jump in there to go just sort him out. You know, absolutely, Murphy. We can manage tenants. But the internet these days, it feels like to me it's a different challenge. Johan, are you back?
I am back. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, you are back. Sorry, you froze there for a moment on the internet. It actually forsaken you. So let's try that again quickly. How did it go in January? Did it go that bad?
Fantastic.
The Wi-Fi ran away.
I think people are under the impression that silly season is only over December. Silly season isn't just over December, it extends into January. I think December is the defrost and January is the impact. And I should actually support this by looking at our statistics. So in 2025, we handled breaches around 180. Now, this year,
Wow.
January, we're looking at 200 plus breaches.
Yeah, you see, it's increasing, hey? People love December too much. It was too much sunshine, hey?
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I think financial pressures do carry into the new year, and it's important to have Xpello on your side to support you because, like I said, silly season isn't just over December. January is the real impact.
And then how does it compare to February? Is it getting better in February or is it sometimes even worse?
Or in February, we are definitely experiencing more of a cool down period if you compare it to January. But I mean, overall, we are still busy. We're looking at, we are still receiving the breaches from the clients. I think some of the clients in here, they're still sending out a letter of demands to us. We anticipate to receive about 150 breaches in February.
Okay. It's amazing to see how it grows and it's really, really shocking. Then, Johan, now this is one thing we often get. I mean, my phone is super busy, and one of the calls I almost always get is, Elise, good news. We want to sign up with Xpello because my tenant is now in breach. Can we proceed? How do people? When do we get involved?
Well, of course, what triggers the breach process is when the agency or the landlord sends a letter of demand and they CC the email address breach@xpello.co.za. It will be pasted in the chat box, I'm sure. Um, and then from there on, we automatically automatically opens a file on our side. And what is the good news is Xpello has their own little internal compliance checklist that we follow. So we don't just accept your breach instruction, we actually also look if it's correct.
Jan, and what you're saying here is very, very valuable because what we often still see is we get letter of demands, and I'm going to call it because we see this often. We get a letter of demand saying 7 days they need to make payment within 7 days, and then the team actually goes back and say, thank you for this letter of demand, but we need a 20-day letter of demand. Because this is what, in terms of the CPA, because most of your lease agreements are governed by the CPA, and the CPA say if you want to cancel at the end of the lease term, if they don't remedy the breach, then you need to give them 20 business days. But Johan, where's our focus then? Because why don't we just use the 7 days?
Well, if we don't use the 7 days, it gives the agent the opportunity to act out their mandate as well. So I do know we diarise the matter to follow up within 7 days after receiving the letter of demand. And we've noticed that not most matters, a lot of matters are resolved within that period. Tenants maybe just paid late, the payment needs to reflect. And yeah, like I said, I think it's important to protect the relationship of the agent and the tenant and landlord as well because just to repeat myself again, it protects the relationship and it gives the agent the opportunity to act out their mandate.
And when the team now starts with their process, what is their absolute focus?
Ha ha ha, exciting stuff. Problem solving. Absolutely problem solving. I think the first question that we ask during a breach is, what is the reason for the default? And this really sets the theme of the matter. I like to say, the second we get the reason for the default, it sets the theme. Can I use two examples?
Please share.
We get a breach instruction. We call the tenant. The tenant says, we've lost employment. Now, at that point, I think it's evident to say that our primary focus is to get the tenant to voluntarily move out of the property. So I think we look at a matter, we receive it, we dissect it, and of course, the reason is, like I said, it sets the theme of the matter.
Yeah. And the second example?
The second example comes down to affordability. We reach out to a tenant. They had unforeseen expenses. In that event, that's when we approach a settlement agreement for the tenant to enter into a payment agreement to pay it off. And of course, we don't just enter into settlement agreements. We look at the facts, we look what's the best possible settlement agreement to ensure that we minimize the losses for the client as well.
Yeah. And what you say is so valuable, and I know this is very close to my heart as well, is to say, firstly, we are not debt collectors. Our focus is not just to get the money in. And I think often our clients get a bit frustrated with us. But for example, in the first instance, they don't have the money. To focus on the payment and the argument and tension negotiation on the focus of getting the money back at that stage is not going to helpful, because then the friction just escalates. Where we rather have the conversations and say, okay, how can we help you to vacate? Can we pay something? Can we do anything to that extent? That's the first thing. Remember, the claim doesn't fall away. Just because we don't get it in, or that's not our primary focus, doesn't mean the claim falls away. People say, yeah, but then they're allowed to stay there for free. Nothing in life is for free. The thing is, you have a choice. Do you want to issue summons later on to recover that money? And of course, with our panel attorneys, you get a discounted rate if you decide to take that road. But I have to say this here, because this is super important. Summons doesn't equal money in the bank. Just because people owe you money doesn't mean you are going to get the money. Our focus is to minimize the losses as much as possible. Hey, Johan?
Absolutely.
And then one of the other things I love to do in this is, because I don't want to say I know this process and I love this process so much and I get so passionate about it, is Johan said what triggers the process on our side is the letter of demand. And that is so important. So for Xpello clients, please, it is important. You have to report the breach within the first month. I almost say you've got 45 days to register that breach, to inform us that the tenant has breached. Because it's important that we get involved from the beginning. Unfortunately, you cannot sign up with Xpello when your tenant is already in breach. So you can't wait until you're in breach and then sign up with us. You have to sign up with us beforehand. And if you're not sure about how's that process work, please go to our YouTube channel. Lizanne's session that we did last month is on there, and we explain how the process works. But that is something that is important. So send off that letter of demand. But now, this is because I know agents go into stress mode, because the backlash when they send out that letter of demand is usually harsh. And this is one of the benefits that we offer Xpello. Johan, tell us a bit about the Xpello process.
In terms of the breach process, it is, of course, when we receive a breach, we diarize to follow up within 7 calendar days. If the tenant did not remedy the breach, this is where it gets exciting. We have level one, we have different levels in the breach department. So the first level, which is the legal administrators, they will start the breach process. So from day 8 to 14, what they will do is they will engage with the tenant, call the tenant, send SMSs and WhatsApp, letters, and this is obviously done with the primary goal to, firstly, secure full payment. If we can't secure full payment, enter into a payment agreement. And if we can't enter into a payment agreement, we aim to get the tenant to voluntarily move out of the property.
Okay, and then
of course, sorry, I think I'm just getting so excited about this breach process that I just want to continue.
Go for it, John. Go for it. Explain to us. What's the next step then?
Then, of course, once it has come from level 1 and we've resolved matters from there, The remaining matters are then escalated to our resolution team. We call them our negotiators. Now, I must just say they have a few tricks up their sleeve to resolve matters. And this is, of course, done between day 14 and 18. Primary goal still remains settlement. The primary goal is still first, to get full payment. Second, to enter into a settlement agreement. Or third, to get the tenant to voluntarily move out of the property. Now, like I said, our negotiators are excellent. They're very emotionally intelligent. They know all types of tenants. So they are very, very, very good in negotiating.
And Johan, I have to say that is something again, because as you say, let's focus first on see if they're going to remedy the breach. Because one thing we all realize, it's not just easy to just pack up and leave. And often we see good tenants and they just have a slump. And to determine what's the reason for it, and then to negotiate it, get as much income, because we do want to minimize the loss the owner is suffering. So we want to minimize that as much as possible. And so that's where they go with the negotiations and say, listen, this is the option, especially if it's a first-time breach. Of course, if it's a second-time breach, I'm sure the approach is a bit different, hey?
Oh yes. Oh yes. I think what is amazing about our portal system as well that we integrated here at Xpello is we actually flag tenants that have defaulted in the past. We flag tenants that have entered into agreements and have not adhered to it. So the approach then would be much different. More strict, of course, as well.
Yeah. And the other thing which sort of also stand out is the fact that we know that, listen, you can't tell us the same story. And you mentioned the portal. If you haven't registered on the portal, that's the basis of the feedback. As our team progress with the matters, our attorneys are linked with the thing, they make updates. That updates get automatically emailed to your owners. If you're registered on the portal, you will get that update on your email as well. If you're not registered on the portal, you will not get those updates. So please have a look at it. If you're not sure on how to do it, you are welcome to contact Lizanne. She'll get you registered on it. At the end of this webinar, I am going to give the link again that you can follow to go register on our portal, and we get you up and running. Lizanne, you see, I love it. She's so on the ball. Register as an agent. We get you up there. And Lizanne, if you can just drop your email as well. So if they want to email you with regards to that. Now, Johan, I know our negotiators is intense. I see them walking up and down here. I see them because, I mean, also the tone has changed a bit. They're not as friendly as our administrators. But then if they cannot resolve it, then it gets escalated again. What's the process from there on?
Well, of course, I must mention the majority of matters are actually resolved in this time period I just described. The resolution and the negotiators. But to answer your question, if it's not resolved,
you see again, just on the internet, you're off. You're going to jump back in. While we're waiting for you, to come back, I just want to add quickly. You know what is we are still, in terms of our stats, only 2% of breaches that we receive goes over to eviction. So that is still an amazing stat. So you want part of those 2%, if it doesn't get settled and it goes over to it gets escalated, what happens then?
Oh, did you lose me? I just want to confirm. You guys lost me there for a moment.
Yeah.
Okay. It then gets escalated to myself or a legal advisor, and this is where we prepare the matter for cancellation. So we will send a power of attorney to the owner to sign. And then, of course, after the 20 business days have expired, as per the letter of demand, we proceed with the cancellation of lease. But it doesn't stop there. We do not just proceed with cancellation. There's still a small window for us to negotiate, or as I like to say, harass your tenants.
Okay. Yeah, I know, because I also know that you guys do that call, and the phone call usually goes as, Guy, you had 2 chances already. It's on the 3rd time. Are you going to take the opportunity to save your honor? I almost want to say, or do you want us to proceed to evict you? And Johan, then you guys proceed with evictions. And I know at this stage is it still 29? I almost want to say, I think we're almost at 30. We had two new attorneys joining our panel this year already because we're expanding and we're getting properties in places I didn't know existed. I laughed. We had an interview with an attorney. So we actually interview all attorneys on our panel. We make sure that they do evictions because evictions are very specialized. And we don't want anyone that's just in a conveyance or just, they have to have that experience. And this attorney then mentioned some places and he said, do you guys get a lot of evictions there because there might be a bit of problems because they're a bit more difficult? And I go, I didn't even know these places existed. But now we prepared for those places, are you on?
Absolutely. Well, now we know it exists.
Okay. So, Jan, and then you guys, we didn't get it settled. We proceed with the eviction. Just tell us a bit of what a client can expect during that process.
Well, that's kind of a broad process. Of course, the first phase in the eviction is Xpello actually drafts the eviction application because we did all the negotiations. We send it to our attorneys to settle because remember, they are the ones arguing in court. From there, they serve the eviction application on the tenant. The tenant has a specific time period to oppose the matter. Now, I must say, majority do not oppose. So don't get nervous. And then from there, if they haven't opposed, it proceeds to the interim order phase, which we call the ex parte phase. Our attorneys will have the ex parte order granted, served on the tenant, and the matter will then be on track for the main eviction hearing. The main eviction hearing is where we actually get the eviction order granted. So timeline-wise, we're looking at 12 to 16 weeks, which if you compare it to attorneys out there that's not on our panel, it does take slightly longer. But like Elise said, we vet our attorneys. Our attorneys know how to operate the courts. They know the courts. They know the magistrates. They know the judges. And they really know how to expedite an eviction in court.
And Johan, now also during this period, if you didn't have Xpello, if you go to an attorney and every time you phone them and you ask for an update or they send you an update without you even asking it, they charge you for that. Because attorneys sell time, hey? So every email, every phone call, every WhatsApp, they charge you for that. Where on our side, during the process, you deal with all the communication. The owner never deals with the attorney or the agent. We make sure we get the information, we convey it to all of our clients in a way that we understand. And I have seen it. I mean, sometimes you guys speak to owners more than once on one day, and there's no additional cost. And I mean, evictions are costly, hey? We know it can vary anything from 30,000 to 80,000 Rand. And that's a large expense to have if you didn't get any income. And I think because a lot of people say, yeah, but Xpello is only 250 Rand, and maybe you paid us 10 months. So you paid 2,500 Rand, and you think it's a lot of money, but compared to an actual eviction, that's not even a, hello, attorney, please look at my file type of thing. So you and your team is available. You do all those explanations to your clients, hey?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I don't think if we deal with agents or landlords, they don't always have all the knowledge with eviction. And I think feedback at Xpello is the number one priority. Not just to send them an update and say, and use big legal lingo and stuff. We really try to explain the process to them in the most effective way possible. And like he said, we have an online portal. The feedback is emailed to the owner. The owner has our numbers and they can call it as any time during the eviction or the breach process to ask us questions.
Now, Johan, that's just the eviction process. And I mean, of course, there's no additional cost for the owner for us to get the eviction order. So that's the big saving, because I got a couple of clients phoning me and say, yeah, we know there's an additional cost when we proceed with the eviction. No, there's nothing. We pay everything to get the eviction order. Johan, from your side, breaches, this, and I think this is just a general, your feeling. What do you think was the main reason for the breaches that you've seen coming through in the past couple of months?
Well, of course, the most general one is unpaid rental. I think that is the most a general one, but we have had a growing trend in breaches. We
Okay.
receive a breach, and then we notice there's a maintenance dispute.
Um,
Now, the good news is once we receive this breach, and we spoke to the clients, both the tenant and the landlord, we actually noticed that sometimes, even though the tenant has been billed and is responsible for this maintenance dispute, we actually refer back to the lease agreement and we explain to the parties the tenant isn't always responsible for the maintenance. And I think my key takeaway for this is a good lease agreement is crucial.
okay. Yeah, and I have to say sometimes that independent mediation really helps because I feel sorry for agents, and please let me know if you see it as well, Johan. Is agents are in the middle, hey, because they have a relationship with the tenant, and the tenant comes and say, "Hi, my geyser has broken," or let's take my safety gate is broken. Will the landlord please come and fix it? It gets conveyed to the landlord. The landlord might not be in a financial position to fix it. So the tenant keeps on giving a request, the agent keeps on passing it to the landlord, and the landlord means goes into total silence, no? Silence of the lambs type of approach. And then it's frustration. And then what's the next thing we see is they don't pay their rent. And then it's a big fight because now you have to pay the rent. And sometimes for us just to step in and go, listen, we need to keep our side clean, and the tenant has to, if they're entitled, if the letter of demand has been sent by the tenant saying, if you do not fix my safety gate within the next 20 business days, I'm going to fix it and I'm going to deduct it from the rent. If you don't do it within the next 20 business days, and after the 20 business days they do that, you can't send a letter of demand. But it's all about processes, hey? And you're independent, you sort of have to go to everybody who's are now. Let's just solve the problem. Back what you said beforehand. Let's just solve the problem. For the non-payment of rent, what is the excuses you're getting for people not, except for the maintenance? What is the reason they're not paying their rent?
Like I said, it is, especially if I refer to the stats of January this year, January last year, even December, I still stand by it. The most common thing is unpaid rent.
Yeah, but
Um,
what's the reason for it? What is the reason the tenants are giving for not paying their rent?
unforeseen expenses. I mean, we've had matters where tenants had to pay for funerals, and of course, we obtain proof. If the tenant says they don't have the affordability, but in the first place they signed an application form, they went through vetting, they can afford the property. If they can prove to us there's unforeseen expenses, we are more than willing to enter into a settlement agreement.
Yeah, and you say something very, very valuable. And I think this is also where I want agents to go and have a look at your vetting process. Because we do get a lot of applications where they want to sign up with Xpello and there's no affordability. So if somebody's living beyond their means, my thing is, if you've gone through the vetting and you see they're going to only live on 2-minute noodles, né? For the rest of the month after they paid their rent, you're going to have a problem in 3 months. So please go back to your vetting, make sure they can actually afford it. Everybody wants to stay in a estate. Ne? We all want to stay in that 50,000 Rand rentals a month, like top billing. I don't know if anybody online still knows top billing. It feels like an old story, but these shows where they show the properties, but you can't. You have to live within your means, and often we allow them to go out of that, and we have to be conservative, especially in this time period. I think to be conservative about, listen, but let's ask the question. So what are you going to eat? Where you buy groceries? Because we do see it, like you say, Johan, that one case, I have to mention this. This was a case that Johan did in Cape Town, in an eviction. And of course, part of our process, we always go back and say, listen, if you can't afford this property, can we go and help you find a place that falls within your budget, that with affordability? And we had this one lady said to us, no, thank you. I don't want to stay in that area. That's nobody stays there, and she was very mean about this areas we suggested that fell within her budget because she liked staying in this very expensive property. And then when we went on to eviction, the eviction order, and the judge looked at the papers. You remember that case, Johan? And he said, I live in that area. What's wrong with this area? Needless to say, the judge said, well, eviction, I think that how much time she got, like a week, or she didn't get long to evict. And then the worst part of it all was she then phoned us for a reference to say, listen, she's applying for another property. Can we give them a reference? And I said, I'll gladly give a reference. I don't know if it's going to be the type of reference you want, because I really have to say that we are very, I want to say, very patient, Jan, with tenants. And please don't see the patients as being soft. We're not soft. We know the time limits that we have, and we try to do everything in the time limits. But we also know to just step in demand is not a way to deal with it. Jan, am I correct by saying that? It's a
Absolutely.
empathy, like you said. It's okay, we have empathy. Doesn't mean we say, so sis, you don't have to pay your rent, we feel for you. That's not what we're saying. We're saying, okay, you can't pay it today, so are you going to pay it tomorrow type of approach. But the way that we deal with it, so if we need to evict you, we're really at that stage that we will warn people. I mean, we have seen it, Joanna, I don't know if you know, that you actually did an eviction, and then Lizanne will come to you or come to the team and say, listen, I get an application from this person. The agency sent through this application of this tenant. When we looked at it, we went back and said, we're busy evicting this person, so please don't accept this application. And I think this is one of the benefits as Xpello clients as well, is if you get an application that you're not sure, we do not want to do pre-approvals on everything. But that to say that we can come back and say, listen, we're evicting this person, so please don't take this person, because it's going to be high risk. The good news is it's not like you don't have, when we evict someone, you don't have to worry about your TPN or your blacklisting or anything, because if they don't, the sheriff can kick them out if they can't find a place. We're not just hoping then that they'll vacate on their own. Johan, yes, breaches is it's a difficult one. I think this is a part of rentals that most people don't like. I've never seen an agent, and if you're online, please raise your hand, and I think you'll win a prize. But don't lie, to say, I wanted to become a rental agent because I like dealing with the breaches. I've never heard that. What are some of your tips that can make their lives easier?
Well, Elise, can we extend the call because I have 100?
We've got time. And we're there. Please, if you guys have got any questions, please drop them in the chat if you have any questions about breaches or our processes. Johan, what is your first tip?
Elise, of course, the obvious one is please use Xpello. And I'm going to expand on this. The value of Xpello is not just to manage a breach process or to proceed with eviction. Of course, that is important. But it relieves the administrative pressure off of agents and landlords. And that results in the agent can go and they can rather focus on building their rental portfolio and focus on the thing that really matters. I think at the end of the day, the goal is to put food on the table. The goal is to become better in life. So please use Xpello. It gives you the opportunity to focus on building your rental portfolio. And please, we love taking the bad guy role.
So I love what you say there. And when you say you're the bad person, the blame guy, hey? But I always say to agents, if they phone you, go, why did you send me a letter of demand? You go, I didn't want to, but it's an Xpello client and I have to. I have no choice. I usually joke and said, I believe you went for your third toe operation, or, it's the third person that dies for the same time or something weird. We get weird stories sometimes. And you can be in the good books and we're the bad guy. We're the ones that goes, sorry, you have to go. So that's a very, very good tip. And I believe, and I think that's the core why Xpello is so valuable. Yes, it saves the owner if you, as an agent, if you manage the property, but it saves the owner the eviction cost, yes. But as an agent, you are saving time, like Johan says. And Johan, that's very, very valuable. What is your second tip?
Like I said, can we extend this?
Yes, yes. We've got
No,
one.
no, Elise. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to babble. I can go on about tips the whole day. I think we should have a webinar with the topic tips for using Xpello or why Xpello. But no, I think for now, let me rather stop there. That is the most important tip I always give to our clients.
Okay. I love it. I'm going to quickly read. Tracy put in the chat. She says, from her experience, I only feel that there needs to be more education for the landlords. They don't really understand the process and feel that tenants have all the rights. We are experiencing this now. Now, Tracy, this is one of the things that we've seen in our breach process. When we take over our messages and emails that we send out, we actually show them the process. We take the time and say, this is where we at. We cannot cancel because we have to wait for the 20 days has passed. And that we have the conversations with the landlords. It is very difficult sometimes to have the discussion before the breach always, because they don't think it's going to happen to them. And they just ignore it. So that is one of the things that we want to mention. Then Leandra, she's putting such a nice testimony there in the chat. Leandra, thank you very much. I know, especially you guys have been with us for such a long time, and you really go through terrible things. And I mean, they do very, very good vetting. It's one of the agencies, and we're proud to work with the agencies we work with. Please, you go look at our website. If you're on our website, we say we're proud to be associated with you because you guys do things well. So Leandra, thank you for that amazing testimony that you pop in there. We appreciate that. At which value, Bia, am I back? Bia is giving a note at which value rental can one endorse Xpello? Bia, can you just explain a bit more on your question? Then I will be able to answer that. While I wait for Bia, I want to say, Johan, one of my tips is please send out the letter of demand. You don't have to send it on the second day, but at least on the 7 days after the rent was due, get the process started. It's not, I know in the past when I was still in practice, an attorney, and attorneys love saying this, is send out the letter of demand by day 2, but they're not in your business. By day 7, we don't want to delay it too long. You want the process to start, and Xpello with their letters, I promise you, they get the tense, they feel the pressure, okay? So we do escalate it, our letters do give extra in that. So that is that's something that plays a role. Johan, Lizette is saying, Johan, after the eviction order has been given, when does the sheriff come in, and how does it work when he comes in? And then how do you get the tenants out after the court gave the order if they don't want to leave? And after they left, how do you want to get the arrears rent paid? And who follows up on that? Now, that's a loaded question, Johan. So firstly, I know this is addressed to you, Johan. I'm sure you're not going to mind if I answer this. So, Lizette, the big thing is the court will grant an order saying the person has to vacate on the 13th of February. It's probably the 13th, by the way, just before Valentine's Day. Now, that means the whole of the 13th, he has time to vacate. If he doesn't vacate on the Monday, the court, one can then go to court and issue a writ of ejectment. So this is a form that gets issued by the court, and we still handle that. We go to the court, we get that writ, we give it to the attorneys and say, okay, here's your writ and everything. Please proceed to go to the sheriff and say to him, he must please go and evict them. The sheriff then goes and looks, he goes, what's happening in my diary? Okay, here's a day I can go to the property. He goes to the property and he checks and he says, okay, this is how much it's going to cost to physically remove a person. Now, this is something that is important. Although only 0.02% of evictions done by Xpello goes this far, this is the cost it's going to be for the landlord. So the landlord will pay the sheriff's quotation for him to go to the property with his heavies, because the sheriff is allowed heavies, the heavy people, or strong people. They take the bolt lock, they cut the lock, they throw the people onto the street. Okay, it's not a nice, friendly process of, oh, please get out. They physically throw people out. Ne? This is what the sheriff then gets to do. That is part of their process, and they give a quotation on that. Before then, like I said, it very seldomly happens because my team do work with them. And what we've seen is most tenants, they don't want to be thrown out. We usually say, we're not going to move you with bubble wrap. We're going to throw it onto the street, and if somebody else takes it, it's also a different thing. If that then happens, that is the process with the sheriff. With regards to outstanding rent or the outstanding money, Xpello that's not our focus. So if they vacated and the owner then wants to proceed to with the legal process to recover the money, we will then introduce you to the attorneys that dealt with the eviction, and they will then proceed with the summons at a discounted rate. Now, what is important to note is, firstly, our clients save 8,500 Rand already on that process, because I don't have to pay for opening the file, reading the papers, everything, because everything is done. And we also have the discussion with our attorneys to have a earnest, honest conversation with landlords to explain to them that just because you get judgment doesn't mean you're going to get your money. I like it and I love it if you get judgment, because remember, an eviction is not going to show up on your credit report, where if a judgment gets shown on your credit report. So that's ideal. But thereafter, they must make a call. Do you want to spend more money to get your money? If somebody's lost their job, and often we see people that's renting, they don't have lots of assets. And please don't tell me, but they drive a fancy car. Because most probably the fancy car is still under finance. And the moment you drive off the floor, you owe more money than the car's worth. So to attach a car that's still under finance, it's worthless. Okay, you're just getting debt. So that's not going to help. But it's a guided process. So Lizette, I hope you answer your questions there. So the money, remember, like Johan said, up until then, we have taken a lot of steps to try and recover as much money as we could. So if there was money we could recover, we would recover it. But the balance that's left over, it has to be a business decision, not an emotional one, because I know this is an emotional process, hey, Johan? We don't want it to be emotional. You have to make a business thing is, am I going to take those steps to include, spend more money to try and recover it, or am I really going to leave it at the judgment? The judgment is there for 30 years. So at some stage, he might want to apply for finance again. And then when he applies for finance, he has to pay his judgments, and then maybe you get some money back. Johan, anything you want to add to what I've explained to Lizette?
Well, I do just want to go back a little bit and say, as part of our settlement negotiations, and I don't think everyone knows this, is if we reach a point where a matter is so severe in terms of breach, we actually offer the tenant an incentive to move out, to contribute to moving costs. Well, Elise did touch on this earlier, but I think that is also something very important to mention to the clients. And Xpello does pay this out of pocket. So I think that is just something I want to add as well. We don't just send letters, we don't just call the tenant. We really go above and beyond, and we have, like I said, a few tricks up our sleeve. If we can't get hold of the tenant, we stalk them on social media. Even if we have to talk to the uncle or the cousin or the mother, we will do anything to get hold of the tenant to settle a matter.
Yeah, and I remember, I think there's two matters that really stood out. Do you remember that hairdresser guy that left his mother in the house? And we actually paid the old age home to take her. I mean, that was one that really stood out to say, okay, well, because he moved out and he left his mother. I mean, what type of son is that? Not just. And we said to him, okay, well, you can take your mother now to the old age home because we paid the old age home. Shame. That's one. And then the second one that we also helped with was, remember the brother was in the unit, but he was addicted to drugs. And we said, we'll help to get him booked in for rehab. But then they book him into rehab and they clean out the units. I mean, we've done that. I usually say, tell us what is preventing you from moving. We actually booked a couple of people. They go, yeah, but where I need to stay is only available in a week. It's like, should we book you into Airbnb? Do you want us to book a storage place for you? Tell us what's the problem. And the reason why we do this, remember, everything we do is legal, but it's time. Time is something that is very, very valuable. If you take the legal process, I mean, the attorneys, you can have the best attorneys, but they are reliant to the courts, hey? We don't, the courts can decide 12 o'clock, they're done today, they're not going to work, and then they don't get you, matching, it gets postponed. They have no control over the courts. So what we say is, let's see what we can do to save time. If we save time, you can place a new tenant as sooner, and the sooner you place a new tenant, you have income, and you minimizing the loss of it. I think that is, if I summarize it nicely, hey? Absolutely. Okay. Johan, I want to say to you, thank you very, very much for your time today. I think this was absolutely valuable. All that knowledge is really, really helping. And I think to know that, listen, you cannot just, one has to know, the process has to start. That is the important part. Let us deal with it for you. Let's make it as easy as possible, that you don't have to worry about all of those type of things. So, Johan, again, thank you very, very much. Then just to share what's happening next month. Next month, let's quickly go share again. Next month, Sean is joining me, and we're going to talk about lease renewals, because we see a lot of things creeping in the lease renewals. Sorry, Bia, I saw I missed your question came through. At which stage can you take a landlord on your books? Is it rental value related, or is it a general to? Okay, so Bia, the good news is our fee is 250 Rand per month per lease, irrespective of what the rent is. Ideally, we want you to sign up when you sign up at the beginning of the lease. That's ideally where we want you to sign up. Alternatively, you can, if you sign up like today, you go, oh, I cannot live. Johan persuaded me to such an extent. I cannot live without Xpello. I hope you feel that way. And you want to sign up with us today, you send us the rental statement for past 4 months, and you confirm that there haven't been a breach in the past 4 months. Then we just need the rental statement and the lease agreement, and you can register with us. So they automatically qualify if they haven't breached in the past 4 months and there's no pending breaches. So that's something to look out for. On the lease renewals with Sean, I think it's amazing take on it, and we can see how to improve. We still see a lot of breaches coming through, and then often we ask ourselves, but why did they renew the lease if they knew they were in breach? So that's one of the tick boxes that we check out. And please don't go renew a lease, I'm sort of saying it now, if they are in breach. Rather let it run to month to month. If you're an Xpello client, speak to us. Okay, we will guide you. Our team is there. Johan Jandri is there. They give advice. If you're not sure about something, send an email to myself or to Johan, between us and or our minds, and we will help you with your legal questions. So we're quite looking forward to that. Also, very exciting. I know there's a lot of things happening next week. So please, Armand and myself will be attending the PayProp events and the We Connect You events that's coming up. So please come and say hello. Tell us if you're a client. Tell us if you're not a client. There's going to be goodies. So networking, we are really going, it feels to me we're going to be nationwide. We're almost going to be everywhere. So in every province, I want to say every province, sorry, Bloemfontein. Is there anybody from Bloemfontein here today? I'm so sorry, but we'll get to you, Bloemfontein people. We still love you, okay? You are on our list. We'll make sure we do something that we can see you in Bloemfontein. But that's then all from us. Just on the last slide, if you missed it, if you're the first time on here and you want more information, please scan this QR code and you can fill in a form and our team will contact you. There's the portal. Again, it was in the chat. If you want to sign up on our portal, if you're not on there yet, and please, on your settings, if you send out a letter of demand, then please send your letter of demand to all the tenants and CC breach. Breach Xpello should be like a team member. in your office. If you send a letter of demand without CCing breach, you should feel guilty. Guilty must go, it must haunt you. Okay. Please remember this. Oh no. I want to say we love all of our clients. We love working with you. Please share if you get an interesting breach or anything. Please share it with us. We like getting the information. We love seeing what's happening in the country. Please be safe. Again, Johan, thank you very much. Everyone, thank you for your time. We always try to keep it short. We'll send out a mailer with a link to our YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please go there. We've got all of these valuable webinars. Put them in the background. If you've got new team members, let them listen to it. It's educational. It will help them. And it's better than whatever is new on Netflix. Okay. So have an awesome day. Be safe and have an awesome week.
Goodbye, everyone.